episode 1, I clap. What are we going to talk about?
So let's start with the building facade, building envelope, and what it is and what it does for us. And one of the things when I talk to people or when I do start training program on this, I will refer to a skin.
Yeah.
This is like the skin that we have performs many functions. Okay, it not a lot of us architects we select it only on the basis of what it looks like. So you
Aesthetics.
Aesthetics. Now,
Not functionality.
Yeah, but that's not what the our human skin is. It does a lot of functions. It breathes. It protects us. If it gets if you get hurt, then it replaces itself in some ways. So similarly, a building also has a face to it, and to be able to select or to be able to specify the right face, there is a lot of information that goes into it. There is the color that you can choose. There is the shine or the reflectivity that we can choose. Then there are how you frame it and so on.
Can I interrupt here?
Yeah, please, sir.
You see, for thousands of years, glass was perceived as an object to look at. It was a decoration element. You look at glass. It really became useful when you had tried to perceive it as something that you can look through.
Correct.
That is the visibility,
yeah,
which is very important. Two basic objectives is natural light, which for number of reasons it is. Other is the visibility.
Visibility of it. Yeah. So just taking forward from what you are saying, sir, why glass becomes even more important now is because our lifestyles have changed.
Yeah.
Okay. Earlier we do a lot of historical work. We do a lot of restoration. पुराने सब घरों में खिड़कियाँ छोटी-छोटी होती थी.
क्यों?
They were basically because आप घर में सिर्फ सोने जाते थे या दोपहर में सोने जाओगे रात को सोने जाओगे. Otherwise 80-90% of your waking time would be outside.
Correct.
So you did not really need to connect. And physiologically, it has been proven that we have a basic urge to stay connected with the outdoors, and we have a requirement of our melatonin levels and our metabolism changes with the daylight level. Yeah. It's with the lifestyle change and more of a steady. We've spent time indoors now. आजकल even families, बच्चे, they are living indoors, so they are not going out as much. The requirement to stay connected and the daylight means you have bigger windows. Not only do you have glass in it, but you have bigger glass. एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ मैं. आप आज की डेट में कोई 50s के, 60s के, 70s के, 90s के घर जब भी कोई रेनोवेट करेगा अपना घर, बिना सोचे समझे वो हमेशा खिड़की बड़ी करेगा. इनवेरिएबली खिड़की बड़ी करेगा. एंड दिस इज नॉट बिकॉज उसको किसी ने आके बेचा या कुछ किया है. That's a basic urge. So like I said, something is worth doing well, we must, something is worth doing, we must do it well. And sadly, the understanding has not kept pace with it. So that's where we are, whether it's windows or if it is full curtain walls or
glazing,
any full glazing, whatever. There is a lot for us to do here.
Alok, how would you define building envelope from your perspective in terms of you got into this business and now you are fully inside the concept of envelopes and how they are better protected with the correct use of architectural hardware?
Yes, so I think very rightly, if you look at it, glass is being used, of course, as a transparent medium to inside look out. Another aspect is that now we not need the buildings to be more beautiful, so there are multiple type of glasses. There are sun rays coming into the building, so there is air conditioning, etc. So, but let me talk about the fact that you need to enter and exit the building. So just a smaller aspect to cover
micro.
for immediately. So we have to see what is the opening size of the door, how many people are going to be in the building, how many times, how many doors you need, because it has to be integrated with the facade, with the skin of the building. So the hardware which goes into the door, the size of the door. So in case of fire, people should be able to exit so is there how many doors are panic exit,
anti-panic doors.
Anti-panic, if there are automatic doors on the building, if you need revolving doors depending upon the traffic, because it's an airport or a railway station or a hotel or just an office building. So I think what we need to understand is that the hardware, the entrances also play a very huge role into getting integrated with the entire skin of the building. And now we also have openable windows which are automated. They're connected to the building management systems. So some of the windows are supposed to open to let out smoke once there is a fire alarm, and so I think there are a lot of technologies.
But everything is available in India.
Everything is available, but also there is a cost, and sometimes there are different agencies or lack of knowledge. People cut costs, or people are not willing to step up and go to the hassle of putting it all together. And I think that's one of the reasons why we are here together, and the awareness of it, the requirement of it will go up. And of course, as you rightly said, people need to know that this is available. So yes,
just
this is
to
available.
add to this, now the regulations also require a building facade to be openable.
Yeah.
The fire regulations now have already made it mandatory. Not many people know of it though.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
Not many people know, and not many people follow. If you look at glass railings, they are a very integral part of a facade now, because a lot of the buildings, if they have a facade, they will have outside areas where people will balcony areas. If I look at shopping malls, there are so unfortunately a lot of times where we go and we talk to the architects or developers, the cost is the single most biggest concern. So I totally agree with that something has to fit a budget or a cost constraint, but that is not a trade-off against safety, and also that is also not a trade-off against a long-term thing. So let's say I'll just give you a very simple example. You make a large building and then you put one door which is in the front and entry and exit. So the moment that door opens, the huge amount of air conditioning, it just goes out into the heat. So typically there should be a draught lobby. The glasses of the door, the heights of the door should be calculated according to various parameters. So I think architects, glass, what is the glass used, and of course the hardware, the sections of aluminium.
Everything.
So everything has to come together. I really appreciate the fact that you have different people here on the panel, because end of the day there are so many materials, so many specifications, and so many permutation combinations as to the usage of the building, the height of the building, the what are the aesthetics which are required, even the sun direction. It is very, very important.
Very primary thing actually.
And primary thing.
No, so this it's also a question of priorities, like you were saying. I have enough clients who will, जैसे ड्रिलिंग की बात करते हैं, अगर लेमिनेटेड ड्रिलिंग कंपलसरी है, होनी चाहिए, पीपल हैव फॉलोन अक्रॉस, बट टेम्पर करेंगे, पैसे बचाएंगे, बट फिर इटालियन मार्बल लगाने को तैयार, एक्सपेंसिव टाइल्स को
वो दिखता है ना, तो उसमें ज़्यादा
we find that we go to a lot of projects. जैसे बॉस इतना लगा दो, मैंने कहा सर इसका we've done the analysis and इसका ये फेल हो जाएगा, कोई गिर जाएगा, कोई मर जाएगा, तो बॉस अभी इतना बजट है, no problem. So because for people cannot perceive that this has to save for 10, 15, 20 years, you may change the marbles, you may change a lot of things, but you're not going to change certain fixed elements.
Correct,
you're not
correct.
possible to change.
डिसीजन मेकिंग से भी पहले ज़रूरी है ना कि आपको रिक्वायरमेंट पता हो, व्हाट आर दी रिक्वायरमेंट्स और नीड्स फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर लोकेशन और एप्लीकेशन. टुडे वी आर फोकसिंग ऑन एनवलप्स, एंड an envelope is basically, what's an envelope is a outer area of the building which divides the interiors and the exteriors. So we are not delving today into interior, someday we might. So the essentials of the envelope are, that it should be basically save you or protect you from the external hazards, whether it is too much sun, too much heat, or too much
noise,
dust, or too much noise. And you stay comfortably inside, having a feeling of coziness, wellness and comfort.
So the National Building Code now takes care of a lot of what we are talking about.
Yeah.
So ultimately we need to all follow that. So we don't necessarily need to make, reinvent the wheel here. If we just follow that, then a lot of these things will be taken care of. I'm not sure what the status is on the hardware side of it, but
again, see also what happens is that, as I just mentioned, it is a system. So hardware standalone will not give the
isolation में कुछ नहीं होगा.
So a particular hardware, a particular profile has to go with a particular profile, and then a certain type of glass has to be used in that profile.
Correct.
And it has to be of a certain height, which will of course change the cost. So there are multiple things which, so it becomes a system. So nobody appreciates that a glass railing, if it's as mundane, as simple as it may look, is a complete system. It has to be
Correct.
tested as a whole unit.
Correct.
And it has to be laminated properly, the glass has to be proper. Somebody needs to use the right fasteners. A lot of places we use chemical fasteners. So people just save on the little bit of chemical per running square foot में installation cost बच जाता है जी, fastener कम लगा दिया, chemical कम लगा दिया, so that
National Building Codes have a specific chapter on glass, which is quite exhaustive, and it gives you in what particular it goes about identifying critical locations to see that there are no injuries to human, or minimizes the chances of injury, grievous injury to human beings when you collide into the glass. And so there is a complete chapter on it in National
yeah, but
Building
we'll
Code.
also be
that's
talking about
exactly
it in
the
a while
point.
now.
That's
Yeah.
exactly the point. There is a rule for everything. In India, there are traffic red lights also. We know how many of us follow them. So again, that is the whole point. I'm not saying that there is no regulation, but also the engineers on site, people who are approving and signing off on those completion certificates, I'm not saying that they're wrong, but they also lack partially the knowledge, partially the testing abilities of all these things. So on paper, a glass railing may look to be very okay, but there are cases where people have actually fallen off. People
Correct.
have lost their lives.
There are a lot of
So
cases.
There are
Lot of cases.
plenty of cases.
They don't get into news as
Yeah.
often as they
So
should,
they
but
get
there are
managed
cases.
well.
Yeah, they're managed. But okay, one point I'd like to add. I do work a lot with now builders, and I consult with them, advise with them, and I have not found one builder. If I tell them, take an example of laminated versus tempered railing, that the law says this, if you do something else and something happens, then you may get a bad name, or you may have some repercussions of it, and never have they said you go against the law. My point is, starting point is that, do I as an architect, do I know? If I know, and am I willing to put that forward, that so that market is changing, and I'm
But that's also to do with
changing.
morality and ethical code of conduct as well, no? Ethics on both sides work, then you get a final good product.
I'm not sure about ethics, but certainly repercussions people understand very well.
कोई
now.
गल है, मतलब everything has to be synced.
Every day.
Each person in the value
Absolutely,
chain
absolutely.
must have adequate knowledge
Correct.
to be able to do this job. So Deepak, say closing on this first episode, what's most important? Human safety?
Human safety is critical. We have to start with human safety, and in the coming episode, let's start to get into more details of that, and understand what the rule regulations are and what we can do to ensure that we are safe in a building.
So human safety is our safety. It's not talking some broad subject.
Yeah, it's our children,
safety,
our
safety, our families, everybody,
our customers.
society,
Yeah, everybody.
society at
Yeah,
large.
yeah.